Well, hello, class. This is Professor Richard. I want to talk with you today about Iahcsmm. Now, Iahcsmm again is the abbreviation, but it's the International Association of Healthcare Central Service Material Management. So they actually are going to be getting a name change because they felt the International Association of Healthcare Central Service Material Management wasn't adequately giving society what their job really is. So there's going to be a name change coming down, I think, at the beginning of next year. Okay, so Iahcsmm, International Association of Healthcare Central Service and Material Management, their job is to they were started in the 1960s, but their organization was for central processing workers as well as material management workers. Okay, so in the 40s, in the 1940s or so, the nurses were responsible for sterilization. They were responsible for handling and storage of supplies, and the doctors felt that they needed something a little more centralized. They needed a department especially designed for that. So what happens to central processing? Central means it's a centralized place. Okay, they wanted a place where all the instruments in the hospital can be sterilized so that things are being sterilized the same way all the time. Okay, so that's where the central comes in. So they started with on-the-job training, so you could come off the streets and go into central processing, and they would train you in sterilization and those sort of things, instrumentation. But what was happening, what they were finding out nationwide, that depending where you were trained, you were just limited into the way you were trained at a particular hospital. So what they needed was to get away with on-the-job training, and needed a formal type of an education so they will know that you know the standard requirements. Okay, so you can be tested. So what they needed to do, they started testing you for certification. Okay, once you went through a program. Okay, so that's how that came about. Okay, so now there is a certification exam that you take. Okay, with that certification exam, once you pass that, you're certified, and you can take that certification with you anywhere you want to go. If you want to stay in Massachusetts, or if you want to go to the West Coast, if you want to go to the Midwest, that certification is recognized anywhere, because it lets your employer and know that you have the basic foundation for central processing, that you've been tested, okay, and you've met the standard. So you can take that certification even out of the country, so people in other countries are taking that same certification exam. So if you decide to leave the country, you take that certification with you, and you'll be able to find a job. Okay, so that certification is critical. But again, with certification, it has to be kept up. Okay, so once you take the exam, once you pass the exam, and become a member of Iahcsmm, what they require of you is to continuing education. Continuing education is very, very crucial. When I say continuing education, they want you to continue to take credit, continue to stay active with what's going on. They want you to stay current. Okay, so every year you have to renew. Okay, that certification. All right, so but that's what this striving for, continuing education in the health field. The doctors, nurses, the surgical techs, radiology, they all have to continue that certification, continue that competency, to continue to let the employers and the organization know that you are current. Okay, so Iahcsmm has a mission statement like every hospital, every organization does: patient safety. The patient is the center. The patient is the focus of what we do. The patient. Okay, we want patient safety. They also, Iahcsmm wants to recognize the expertise of their members. Okay, that's why they continually want to test them and just continue moving them forward and improving them as well. Okay, so with Iahcsmm, they have a magazine that comes out twice, I believe every 2 months, and that you keep current with what's going on. They have a website. They have exams that you can take. What we're looking for now is the CRCST, which is the Standard Certified Central Processing Technician. That's what we're shooting for, but other things are the CIS, which is a Certified Instrument Specialist. So once you get the CRCST, you can sit for an exam and get the instrument specialist. Okay, so there is a ladder of different opportunities with the education that you can get. Okay, so the certifications is primary. Okay, it's a formal recognition of your specialized knowledge. Okay, and that specialized knowledge will be in decontamination. Okay, it'll be in sterilization and sterility maintenance. Okay, so they want to make sure. Now the exam is a multiple choice exam. I believe there's about 175 questions on that. It's a pass or fail sort of test. Okay, but you study the book and the manual and do that. I think you would really be in pretty good shape. But you've got to put time, energy, and effort into that, into yourself and into your career. Okay, so the CRCST. Okay, that's what you will be once you get the certification. Take the exam, pass the exam, you can move forward. Okay. Now, also, you'll be dealing with people, and they call it the allied health field. Okay, so you'll be in central processing. There'll be other members in the operating room. There'll be people in X-ray department, the labs. So there's a lot of different abbreviations that we're going to be learning about, different organizations that you'll be in fellowship with. You know, just like they have the police department, they have the fire department, and those organizations inside your health field, they'll have other organizations. One of the organizations is AORN. Okay, that's the Association of Perioperative Operating Room Nurses. Okay, so the nurses, they have the AST, Association of Surgical Technologists. So once again, the OR is going to be your biggest customer. Okay, the OR, that's where you're going to be doing the most work for. Okay, they're the ones that do the surgeries. So they're going to be a big customer. So the people that are in the working in the operating room will be the operating nurses, and there'll be the surgical technologist. Okay, now the surgical technologist, his job is to pass instruments for the surgeon during surgery, as well as maintain and keep the sterile field and make sure that nobody compromises that field. Okay, the OR in the operating room, her job is to make sure that the patient's asleep, make sure that the sponge counts and the instrument counts are correct. In the operating room, what happens is that once a patient is asleep in surgery, it starts. Before that, they do a count. What they need to do is count sponges and instruments because they want to make sure nothing is left behind. Okay, so that doesn't affect you, but that's what goes on in the operating room. They have to do counts. So when they start with a procedure, if they have sponges, they have to be counted, needles, and those sort of things. They can't leave anything behind. Okay, so some instruments they count. They might count abdominal retractor. All right, these instruments we'll be learning abdominal retractor. They may count levers. Now you may say, how can you leave something like that inside the body in the operating room? But it has happened. Okay, that's where they count things. They count things. They make sure what they started with is what they end with. Okay, so you're going to be in the Allied Healthcare Association. So there's going to be abbreviations like again the AORN for the nurses, AST for the surgical technologists. Okay, they have other groups, AME, okay, and Cigna, Epic. So we're going to be going through different definitions of things and what they do. But so you're going to be a part of the health field. The health field, and the health field, the patient is number one. The patient is the primary center of what we do, patient safety for you as well as safety for yourself. So I'll reach out to you a little while later with another video, but I'll be sending this out in a little while. Thank you.